Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to the Behavioural Sciences information session for Senior College. Miss Dawsey and myself, Mrs McNamara, will be hosting your information session this morning, and we will be talking about behavioural sciences, which under that umbrella comes psychology and sociology, and you can do a variety and a combo of both, or one year and one the other. There is a whole different myriad of ways you can make yourself a behavioural sciences package, or you can just do a major in psych and or a major in sociology, or you can do both. That's fine. There's no problems with that. You can take both concurrently, and you can do one for 1 year and one for the other year. We've run that most years. So that's our start. I'm just going to share my screen and start to run through our PowerPoint here with us. So the simplest definition of psychology is that it's the study of the mind and behaviour. Research in psychology seeks to understand and explain thoughts, emotions, and behaviours. So let's hope this little video works. Okay, here we go.
You might have to stop sharing your screen and then share it again, but share it on that video. Does that make sense?
Well, you can't see the video, Miss Dawsey?
No, I can only see the PowerPoint at the moment.
Right. So
I know Zoom is very fun to use.
And if it doesn't work anyway, it's on the link anyway. Yeah. But I'll now share my screen again, and hopefully you'll be able to see this. Oh no, this is interesting.
Good morning.
Good morning. Just doing good morning, Miss. Oh. Just doing my thing. You can, yeah, zooming.
Zoom bomb.
There you are. Good morning. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just say this is in the link that's there in the share my screen, and you'll be able to see that link and click on it. It's just a 30-second video about psychology and just the uses of psychology in the world for when you're looking for jobs, and where does psychology lead us? What's the point of doing psychology? So we, as people who study psychology, have the advantage of knowing about things that other people don't know, and same with sociology. But once you understand the mind and the individual, how do our brains work? How does that make us as individuals operate within society? How does that influence our decision making? How does our early childhood influence our decisions we make as teenagers, as adults, as parents, or even as community members? It's a really kind of great way to get to know yourself and get to know what you are, the reason behind some of your choices. So it's really interesting. Psychology is the study of the mind and how your mind or other people's minds develop, and the science behind that. So sociology, I'll hand it over to Miss Dawsey.
So basically sociology in comparison to psychology. Psychology is more about the mind and the individual and how they develop. Sociology is more about looking at, it does look at individuals. It looks at how society impacts individuals. It looks at how groups of people behave, and it seeks to kind of understand why and how people behave based on social kind of influences. So how does our society affect the way that we behave, and why is that? Also, how do we kind of impact society as well, and how do groups of people impact society? I love sociology, so please study it.
I love psychology. So when we talk about psychology, it's not really a versus, it's kind of the idea of, are you more interested in the content that goes along with the psychology units, or are you more interested in the content that goes along with the sociology units? And what is really good is they go really well together. So the skills that you gain in psychology, you then can directly apply to sociology. So you're not having to develop two different sets of skills. So psychology in year 11 and 12 will demand a completely different set of skills to English, to maths, to history. You will write and develop your assessment pieces for psych and soc the same, but you will do, when you reference and work and develop your psychology stuff, they'll be very different to history or very different to English. It's just the nature of the course, and psychologists and sociologists like to reference other people's work and like to use theories and studies and explore different avenues for understanding things, and that's why we do our assessment a tad different. But if you do both of them together and you do a major in both of them and you do a behavioural science major, then you will have both skills transferable. So it'll be a really easy way for you to go into both fields and do both of them. So really the difference between them is psychology studies the individual and how they react to society, and sociology studies the individual but how society influences them. That's kind of the very basic, very simplified version of the difference between the two. It doesn't mean that's all we do. And to that event, psychology, our units are divided into 4 units, same as sociology. So over the 2 years, so year 11 is, or year 1 is unit 1 and unit 2. Year 2 is unit 3 and unit 4. Unit 3 and unit 4. But you can do those, you can do year 11 psychology and year 12 sociology. You will just study units 1 and 2 when you are in year 12. So some of our classes have year 11s and year 12s in them. Some are just year 12, some are just year 11s. It just depends on the numbers. And some year 11s don't do psychology in year 11 but do psychology in year 12, so then they are in a combined class. And lots of the classes at JPC are combined classes so that we can offer the minors in both of them as well. So you can do a minor or a major, and a major means you do it for 2 years and a minor means you do it for 1 year. But you can't do semester 2 in year 11 and semester 1 in year 12. That doesn't work. You have to do a full year of it. Okay, so psychology, the individual differences into the mind, psychology of wellness, and psychology and society. Basically, we're going to individual differences is childhood psychology and understanding yourself and your childhood and childhood development and how children connect with the environment, connect with their families, and the importance of childhood development and the influences of that for the rest of your life. We talk about the brain development. We talk about how that brain development works and why it's really important for all these stages to happen. And it's really interesting, no matter what field you go into, understanding how you and your brain works is always going to be an advantage, let alone your siblings or kids you're going to work with or people you're going to work with. That's a really good one. Into the mind then goes, and we talk about how we make memories, connections, how our brains work, how different things influence our different I've just lost my train of thought. So my mind is not into it. Into the mind basically develops our brain, the science of the brain, and understanding sleep and memories and all the things that go along with why do our brains work the way they work, and why do some people have some predispositions to do something, why are some people good maths learners, why are some people not good at learning, why do people have differences. So it's really interesting. Unit 3 is psychology of wellness, so we talk about stress and mental illness, and we talk about the individual, how the individuals cope with mental illness, what is mental illness, how was it developed over the history, what does it look like now, why do we have that. We talk about DSM and actual society's diagnosis of mental illnesses, and how do we support that and work with that, and the Year 12s are doing that currently at the moment. And then psychology and society is forensic psychology. So we look at sociopaths, psychopaths. We look at the study of forensics and how does psychology impact this field of forensics. So we will ask questions, so just write them down, note down your questions, or pop them into our chat as we're going along. Just pop them into the chat, and as the other teacher's talking, the other teacher will answer the questions. Okay.
Do you want to go to the next slide, Miss, and I'll talk about our units?
Yep.
Is that's all right, if they come up.
Jade says, does it start with Unit 1 or Unit 3 next year? Jade, it starts with Unit 1 in Year 11, or if you're doing Year 11 course, and Unit 3 for Year 12 courses.
If you're doing sociology, it's a little bit different because we have had a combined class since we've started. So you might start with Unit 1 or you might start with something totally different. But either way, it doesn't really matter because we usually do like an introduction period at the start of the semester. So you're not left out or you're not behind. It doesn't matter for sociology what unit you start with, really.
Whereas for psychology, sorry, just to interrupt, for psychology, it does matter a little bit. It really is very advisable for you to do Unit 1 and 2 before you do Unit 3 and 4. It just gives you the base knowledge and the background of theories and theorists and understanding of the brain before we actually delve into. It's very hard to do forensic psychology without the understanding of childhood psychology and mental illness, as you can imagine.
Yeah, we don't have that in sociology, which is a bit sad. We don't have kind of like build upon courses because we just kind of learn it as we go. But so our units are identity, sociology of social justice, cultural icons, and power institutions. So sociology does things a little bit backwards. At the moment, we're doing power and institutions, which is Unit 4. And we are looking at health and medicine, which is really interesting in this time of COVID because we're kind of looking at how society has reacted to COVID, also looking at how groups of people have reacted to this health issue as well, you know, things like the panic buying and why people do that. We're also looking at power and politics. So we've looked at things like dictatorships. We're currently looking at Donald Trump and trying to understand how he got into power and why a lot of people really like him and why he appealed to a lot of people. In cultural icons, we look at media and we look at pop culture, which is really interesting. So looking at how the media can influence our behaviour. In sociology of social justice, we look at crime and deviance, and it usually happens around the same time that psychology is looking at criminals and in particular, you know, why they do what they do. So we kind of look at crime in a way that how does society influence people to commit crime? So we look at things like poverty, we look at things like inequality, to try and explain why deviance occurs. And also in social justice, we look at gender inequality, both for females and also males as well. And then in identity, we look at family and relationships, so trying to explore family units and how they work and why they work in the way that they do. And we also look at race and ethnicity. So trying to understand these concepts of race and ethnicity, why there are ethnic groups, why there are people who are racist and what makes them that way. Not particularly individually, but the kind of social forces that encourage racism in society. So that's sociology.
I think that's the end of mine. Okay. So the general questions we've got over the years, because Miss Dawsey and myself have been doing this. Is this our third year together, Miss Dawsey?
Yeah, I think so.
We've been doing this for a few years. So can you do both subjects? Yes, you certainly can. Which is better for your future? It will depend on your career path. And Miss Dawsey has given you some amazing tools to really decide which one would be better suited for you. The bottom line is we've actually discovered that over the years, you are going to be well set up for whatever university course or TAFE course you do by doing either. Because really, the information that you get, none of the courses have prerequisites for psychology or sociology determined. You will always start with Psych 101 or Soc 101. It just means you have a really good grounding in it before you start. It's like a leg up at uni, and you will know whether you want to follow that path or not. So it really depends. So for example, if you want to be a nurse, it doesn't matter if you do psychology or sociology to get into nursing, but you might find that for example, you want to be a psychiatric nurse, so psychology's better for you. Or you might want to be a social working nurse, so working with social systems, and then sociology might be better for you. So it really depends on what you're choosing, and it really is a choice of interest, not a choice of, well, this is going to exclude you or include you from a course. Would you agree with that, Ms. Bozzy?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the skills that you develop in psych and sociology are critical to anything that you study or any kind of career path that you take. Like, I know in sociology, the biggest thing I tell my students is what we're doing here is we're trying to be critical thinkers, and we're trying to question the normal. And I think that's what you do in psychology as well. It's all about critical thinking, trying to consider a variety of different perspectives. And if you can do that, you have a much more, I guess, open mind, and those kind of skills are transferable to any job that you do.
Any job, yeah. Can you do majors and minors in these subjects? Yes, we've kind of covered that, but I'll just do it again because it can get confusing for people. You can do 2 minors, so you can do a minor in psych and a minor in soc. You can do a major in psychology and then a minor in sociology, or the other way around. You can combine whichever one you like. You can start by thinking you'll do majors, and then you can drop to minors at the end of the year. You can say, okay, I'm going to try something else for another year. You're not locked in by choosing it in year 11, but you are locked into a minor if you only choose it for year 12. Okay, so because you cannot do concurrent units, so you can't do unit 1 and 2 and unit 3 and 4 in the same year. That doesn't work. Okay, so who'll be teaching the subject? We never know. Miss Aussie, myself, and Miss Middleton are teaching it this year, but you know, Miss Middleton's going to have a baby, so who knows who's going to be teaching it. What we can tell you is people who are qualified will be teaching it. People who have passion in it will be teaching it. You don't teach these subjects if you're not interested in them, because it's not something that you can just pick up. You have to have some qualifications in it, and we are all qualified in those subjects, and whoever teaches it will be qualified in those subjects, I guarantee you. So, this is when I was the coordinator of that course back in the day. Okay, so let's go with some questions in the question boxes. Does anyone have any questions? Pop them up in the Zoom chat for us. Oh, Miss Middleton, how nice. Hello.
Hi.
Did you join? Sorry, Hannah would have referred to you.
No, all good. I only just jumped in.
Nice.
Just finished.
So everyone is there. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask out loud? Oh my God, is anyone out there? Hello.
Talk to us, guys.
Yeah, anyone there?
In the group chat box. We would love to answer your questions.
I'm sure you've got lots, because we always have lots of questions.
Come on, Miss Kakunda, give us a question. Miss Clara. Miss Barkley, come on.
I don't have any questions, Miss.
Nothing.
I answered everything that was possibly available. That's like a record.
So you went through, since I've missed things, the difference between sociology and psychology, of course, and the units and stuff.
Yep.
Why we do it, why it's useful, all those things. You should just all choose it anyway. Just give us a thumbs up if you're just going to choose it anyway.
They're such interesting courses. You will never regret doing psychology, because understanding of how your own brain works, and sociology of how society works, it's just life skills. Doing these courses will just make you understand the world better and yourself better. You are never going to not need the skills that we teach in these courses. Now, other skills, we can't guarantee those from other courses. We're not biased, of course, but we do really encourage the life skills that you gain from psychology and sociology are ongoing practical understandings of yourself and society that you can apply wherever you're going to go in the future.
Yeah. Any job at all. And actually, when I was doing my job before this, which you can watch my video on the careers thing if you want to, but actually understanding people, because I had to manage people and I had a big team with lots of different personalities, lots of different people. Having done psychology was so useful in being able to work out what skills people had that could be used and how they could be used, how I could help them to move forward. And to make things work effectively. So it really is useful in any job that you're going to do.
Miss Ozzy, are you going to answer that question from Tatenda?
I mean, yes, I definitely can. I'm actually, so when I was at uni, I did international relations and sociology. So it was a bit of like political science and sociology. But sociology would definitely help with political science, particularly understanding like the way that society works and the way that politics influences people, and groups in particular can really, really influence politics. Even if you look at the media and how that influences politics, like I'll never forget when I was in year 11 and in sociology, we watched this documentary about Fox News in America and the kind of tactics that they use to influence politics in America. And I was like, wow, it was really, really interesting. So yeah, I think sociology would definitely fit in with political science. Any kind of like humanities subject would definitely help with political science.
I just answered Jade's question, but if you want to go into a law-based career, are these useful? Absolutely. They are both probably essential for a law-based career, to be honest. That and law or ethics will be what you would be interested in. I guess also for the political science, understanding the psychology behind people's decisions and how they makes it like both of them relevant as well to political science, both of them. If you want to do health, would psych be more useful for both or both? So if you want to do something like physiotherapy, then psych's probably more useful than sociology if you're going into that sort of field. But if you want to do health where you're doing social work and you're doing other like things where it's in community, soc is probably more beneficial. They're actually equally beneficial for anything to do with interactions with humans and human-based relationships. It's just which would work better with your package that you're going to choose for university. So some of the courses that you would choose will recommend it, but same as in school, you can do majors and minors in uni too. So you might do a minor in psych and do political science with a major in soc, but there will be courses that you have to do as part of your course at uni or TAFE, and then there'll be courses that you can choose as kind of like electives, exactly the same as when you're doing it at year 11 and 12. So I don't know, Ms. Dawsey, I think if you're going to do health, it would be psych to be more useful than soc, but
yeah, and like you said, it kind of depends on the field, and often like within your university courses, they'll teach one or the other, and if it's not specifically, say, sociology, it might be called like culture and well-being or something like that, which is basically what sociology is. And if it's psychology, like it might be another term for it, but both, yeah.
So things like nursing, for example, will do psychology instead of sociology in their first year courses, but actually all the nurses do they call it they're doing psychology, but they actually do the sociology unit. They just, exactly like Ms. Zorzi said, they just basically for the second year, the psych and the soc students are all in together doing the same unit at UC. I know this because so many kids from JPC are doing psychology or doing sociology courses, and they've come back and told us, they're like, Miss, it's exactly like you said it would be. And I'm like, yeah, we know. We're not making this stuff up.
We've been through it.
Yeah. We've all done it at uni ourselves, many, many moons ago for some of us, but we have done it. Any more questions from the very quiet, very black, not faced audience?
If you do have any more and you don't want to ask us, I mean, just contact us and please sell these subjects to your friends because they're awesome and we really want.
They're so interesting. Yeah. We have such great discussions. You learn so much about yourselves, about community. You will understand life better from doing these courses.
Or if you want to ask some of the seniors that are already doing these courses, is a really good idea as well. So my year 11s have just been doing personality tests and finding out a lot about themselves. So feel free to ask some of the seniors if you want the names of some people you could perhaps ask, then ask us as well, and you can go and see what they find useful about them.
A quick outline of what the assessments look like.
Both at the same time. Good question.
So our assessments are a range of essay type questions, of case study and analysis, of seminars, and of exams. So they're a combination, and we run through each type of strategy to make sure we cover the strengths of everybody's abilities, and we build a different skill set throughout the 2-year courses of both subjects. We align our tasks. So if sociology is doing a case study, then psychology is doing a case study. So the kids that do the double major or doing both courses have the skill set and are developing both, and don't have to do there might be 2 different topics, but the same skill sets being applied.
Yeah. We also tend to do at least one sort of experimental report in psychology, or some kind of, I think often in sociology it might be more like a survey or some sort of, where you actually get to find out information and try and do it. So often we do that in psychology with memory, where you get to run your own memory experiment on your fellow students ethically. But you may have participated in one of those previously during LT last year, along the line. So
so things like the assessments might be Lars and the Real Girl is a movie that we use to assess Lars and how his mental health is received by the community, and we watch the movie and then we assess it using the mental health techniques that we've learned in class to basically diagnose him and see if he was received as he would be, or is it just the movie, and we're comparing the reality to the fiction and using our skills of mental health strategies for that assignment. We're just doing at the moment in Year 12A with everyone a portfolio. So all your classwork and ILT work is building in a portfolio, and we're using each other's assessments and skills to build a portfolio of different tasks and make sure you're ready for your AST. So we make sure that what we're teaching you is useful, and that those skills are transferable to your AST, to university, to whatever they are. We're not just doing things for the sake of it and collecting a task. We really try as a teaching team to develop a broad set of skills that you can apply in the future, whatever you're going to do. Does that answer the question, Derek? It was a good question. Derek, for once, has lost his voice.
Yeah, thanks.
I haven't lost my voice yet.
Oh, good.
Hey, Derek.
Okay, he's not usually that quiet.
Yeah.
Any more questions, guys? Because we know you have some other Zoom chats for the second half of the period, but no more? You can email either of us or all of us and ask questions if you have further questions coming on. What does the person, health and wellbeing come under? Huh? What does the person, health and wellbeing come under?
Oh, so do you mean which subject, Derek? Or like which topic? So health and wellbeing is in Year 12, first semester, where you look at mental health, coping and stress and resilience.
In psychology, Derek.
Psychology, yep. And we look at individual differences in Year 11 in the first semester.
And you look at it in sociology in, not under those headings, but when you look at...
We look at like... So are you talking about health and wellbeing?
Yeah.
So we look at this semester, we kind of looked at how our health system has worked and the ways in which our health system impacts particular groups of people. We've looked at, we looked at coronavirus a lot, and we've looked at how society reacts to illnesses in general. It's more of like kind of high levels, looking at society and how they deal with health and well-being in comparison to what psychology looks at. But it's really interesting. I find it interesting.
I've just admitted 2 people from the waiting room who've just signed in, so you'll just have to watch this back on recording, guys. Sorry about that. We're just about to sum up our meeting because it's now 9:32 and you have to go to other courses. So if there's no more questions, we really, really encourage you to take these courses. Come chat with us more. They're practical, ongoing, useful courses that are actually amazing insights to your own brain and to society. Yeah. Anything from my other 2 psychologically and sociologically inclined?
Please choose sociology.
The more we have, the more classes we have, and the more we can teach it, the more we can preach it. Yes.
The more fun thing.
I don't know if we mentioned, but like in these classes, there's a lot of discussion. So it's really
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a sociology and psychologically inclined day. Bye.